extent that the universities identified with the aspirations of Africa. He charged the Institute of African Studies and the University of Ghana to provide a reinterpretation and a new assessment of the factors which make up the African past and provide blueprints for the future by ensuring that African studies developed and flourished devoid of Western influences and guided by concepts far removed from old-style colonial ideologies and mentality. The Institute stuck to Nkrumah's charge by conducting research, teaching, and advocacy over the years on Africa and its diaspora, using African-centered methodologies. Through research, teaching, and advocacy, faculty have mentored a number of students who occupy important leadership positions within the continent and beyond. This is in addition to doing their small bit on spreading the very African-centered ideologies meant for the common good of Africa and its people. We consider this conference and our leadership positions within the continent and beyond as very important. We also want to reiterate that we are mindful that this conference is a partnership with the Kwame Nkrumah Center for Ideology, Governance, and Leadership, a natural process towards realization of the dreams of both Kwame Nkrumah and Nelson Mandela in making Africa a shining example of exemplary and exceptional leadership. I once again welcome everyone here to this conference, and I wish everyone very fruitful discussions as well as fruitful impacts. Thank you.
Please, you can do it better for Professor Osman Al-Hassan, a senior research fellow with the Institute of African Studies. Thank you so much. Indeed, his remarks are welcoming and refreshing. And indeed, it gives us the opportunity or gives us a reason to be geared up for the Agenda 2063, the African indeed we want. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give it up once again for Professor again. And I would want to remind all of us that we're live on JoyNews, as well as we're live on Pan-African TV. And also on Zoom, we have over 300 people across the continent joining us for this all-important conversation about the Nkrumah Mandela Leadership Conference. And of course, under such a significant theme as well. Global leadership in search of transformational leadership, global Africa in search of transformational leadership in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would want to introduce our chairperson for the occasion or for this all-important event. And of course, our chairperson is a distinguished statesman, one who loved the country to the max, and also a researcher, loves academic works as well. Indeed, his research in recent time was on the intersection between culture and development on the African continent. Ladies and gentlemen, based on his patriotic nature, he stood or contested to be a presidential candidate, or he contested for the presidency under the ticket of the Convention People's Party, the CPP, in the year 2000. Which of course, I believe that as at that time, many of us would have been below the age of my colleague, and I trust will be below 5 and 10 years. Hallelujah. Right, ladies and gentlemen, our chairman again was a minister of state in charge of culture and chieftaincy. Ladies and gentlemen, with a standing ovation, please help me welcome our chairperson, our chairman, Professor George Hagan. Please give it up for Professor George Hagan. Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Prof. Okay. Please, we may resume our seat, please. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as I indicated, we're live on Joy News, Pan-African TV, and on Zoom as well. We have over 3,000 people joining us across the African continent as well. Let me also state to you how the program outline is expected to fare so far. So this morning we have an interaction session. We'll be having a keynote address as well. And of course, later, between the hours of 12 to 1:30, we will have the second session as well. The program is a 2-day event, today and tomorrow as well, all in the name of searching for the next transformational leader of the continent as well. So, we will be running this event concurrently alongside with other programs, which of course would be geared towards empowering young people to have transformational leadership abilities and skills to know that indeed the Africa that we want can only be transformed if we have great leaders as well. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have our culture troupe available. And of course, our culture troupe would soon be giving us a performance. But let me also state that we'll be having a presentation by the AU Agenda 2063, Franca Forward. He would be giving us that particular conversation as well. But culture troupe, if you're ready, please let's have you up here for your performance as well. Okay, I understand they're not, they're actually setting up at the moment also. But ladies and gentlemen, turn to your neighbor and say, we have only one Africa and we have only one continent. Therefore, whatever that we do, please turn to your neighbor and say that. Therefore, whatever that we do should be geared towards the best interest of the continent. So help me God. A round of applause for that, please. Culture troupe. Okay. Let me also state that the Institute of African Studies is one that is bent on imbibing into young folks the African ideology. Growing up, we know one of the challenge is the fact that we think the African culture is not the very best. Therefore, anything from the Western world is, of course, the top notch. But the Institute, as a focal point, aims at transforming or shifting focus from that agenda to making everyone believe that indeed the development of the continent is geared on what we do from start into adulthood. Please, a round of applause for the Institute as well. Let's give it up for the Institute. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, presentation by Agenda 2063, Franca Forward. Is Franca Forward around? Franca Forward. Okay. So let's keep that and then is Dr. Ligat Azam, the South African leading Like Mandela Institute. South African leading Like Mandela Institute. Are you available? Are you around? Okay, we understand they are on. They'll be joining us very pretty shortly. But all the same, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to step down and then have a general conversation with you. And I've seen Professor Frempong Prof, I would want to have a conversation with you, but pretty shortly, I know you would actually mount the stage and then have a conversation with us. But Prof, briefly, let me come to you, Prof. Please let me break all protocol. Prof, we're talking about transformational leadership here. With how you've served the country diligently, from health through to ministerial positions and other fields of endeavors, are we seeing that leadership quality that indeed is on the right tangent of propelling the country or the continent to the next level?
We don't have that yet. I've said it many times before that we haven't had any transformational leadership in this country since the overthrow of Nkrumah. That is what I'll say for now. Maybe I'll have some more to say when it's time for me to speak.
Right. Prof, I would also want to get your take on that. Do we have that leadership?
No, I agree with the good professor from Pongwating. We're in search of it. So what I hope we'll discuss here today, what will emerge from the debate and conversation, is ideas about what kind of leadership we need, what kind of transformation we want, and how to get from here to there.
How to get from here to there. So obviously, it is a doom for all of us. But the good news is that with an institute such as the Institute of African Studies, who is bent on the fact that we cannot be on the fence, sit on the fence only to watch young people suffer, only to watch the current state of the African continent that lacks the transformational leadership abilities among our leaders now, we are holding this 2-day conference for this all-important conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I think we've done few talks, but we want to also appreciate the richness of the African culture, and therefore, I hand you over to the culture troupe to give us something spectacular on the African continent and the African soil as well. So the culture troupe, we are in your hands in the next few minutes, please. Oh, that was energetic, that was inspiring, and that was indeed supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up once again for the culture troupe. Oh, is that all that you can do? Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, we continue with the program, and we have other distinguished personalities that we truly want to honor or welcome them in our midst. We truly want to recognize the presence of Sabelane Kristalina, who is the gender advocate for Congo Republic. Please give it up for her. Christiana? Okay. We also have Jocelyn Mirashi, who is from Tanzania, youth and politics enthusiast. Please give it up for Jocelyn. Jocelyn, please give us a wave. Give us a wave. Thank you very much, Jocelyn. We also have Kobna A.A. Mensah, who is from Ghana, and he is a public data infrastructure consultant. Give it up for Kobna A.A. Mensah. Kobna A.A. Mensah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also have the presence of Nana Kweku Ejiri Chebi III, who is the Achempem Hene of Ogwa in Cape Coast. Please give it up for Nana Aswa. Nana, we truly appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much. We also want to give it up for Dr. Makeda Mohammed. Dr. Makeda Mohammed is a Pan-Africanist and the author as well. Please give it up for Dr. Makeda. Thank you so much, Doc. We truly appreciate your presence here. We also want to recognize the presence of Dr. Emmanuel Ofori, who is a senior lecturer with the University of Ghana Medical School. Dr. Emmanuel Ofori. Dr. Emmanuel Ofori, okay, you understand, he is on his way. Then we truly also want to recognize the presence of Dr. Usman Al-Hassan, who gave us the welcome remarks. Please give it up for Dr. Usman Al-Hassan, a senior research fellow with the Institute of African Studies. Let's also give it up to Aliyu Ndama, who is from Nigeria as well. Aliyu Ndama. Give it up for Aliyu Ndama. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your presence here. And let's also give it up for Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, who is a cardiologist and a politician, as well as an advocate on science, technology, and innovation as well. Professor Frimpong Boateng, we truly appreciate your presence here. Of course, we'll be hearing from great minds on the African continent as well. We truly also want to recognize the presence of Honorable Kisimbo Renex Tendo. Honorable Kisimbo Renex Tendo. Thank you so much, Honorable. He is from East African integration activist as well as youth leader in Uganda as well. Thank you so much for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we truly want to take a message from the South African High Commissioner to Ghana in the person of Her Excellency Grace Janet Mason. Grace Janet, please give it up for her to give us a welcome address, to give us a statement as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Siyabonga. Sanibonani to all the African leaders, distinguished guests, program coordinator. I respectfully stand on the existing protocols to acknowledge the distinguished guests, their majesties from the traditional authorities, the Institute, and more particular, all fellow Africans that are participating at this conference. I represent the Republic of South Africa in Ghana, but I send well wishes from the Nelson Mandela Foundation as well, as they were not able to join us in person, but they are joining us virtually to participate in this historic leadership conference with its theme, A Global Africa in search of transformational leadership in the 21st century. And this is what the discourse over the 2 days will seek to achieve. The Africa that we want, in line with the visions of our forebearers, great African leaders. And as we pay homage to the two great leaders of our continent, former President Nelson Mandela and former President Kwame Nkrumah. And their legacies continue to live within us, and everything that we seek to achieve as we create the Africa that we want. Agenda 2063, creating an Africa that is prosperous and peaceful. I am honored to stand before you today to support and to offer solidarity at this remarkable gathering and to pay tribute to the legacies of two great giants in the history of our peaceful and prosperous continent. I'm equally elated to be in the midst of these distinguished speakers and will follow through these 2 days and just to listen and engage the students at the university, African Studies, and also to give input, thought-provoking input on the leadership of our continent, the role of leaders, young people, and the youth of today, as that is the demographic that our continent has and its young people, and that we leverage not only on that demographic, but on the opportunities and looking at all the aspirations of Agenda 2063, as that is a roadmap for our African continent, and leverage on the opportunities over the 2 days. This 2-day conference held here at the university is indeed historic, as we not only celebrate these two giants for their achievements in the liberation and emancipation of the African people, Kwame Nkrumah and Tata Nelson Mandela, both iconic leaders, embodied the spirit of resilience, determination, and the unyielding pursuit of justice and equality. Their visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to the betterment of their nations, respectively, and the African continent as a whole, and an enduring inspiration to all of us. In a world facing a myriad of challenges, the principles championed by Nkrumah and Mandela respectively, that of unity, social justice, and the pursuit of peace, remain relevant today as it was then. As this conference provides a unique platform for us to collectively reflect upon the teachings and draw inspirations as we understand where we are as Africans today, what are the opportunities, and looking also at the trajectory of Agenda 2063, the emancipation of our continent. And this year's theme of the African Union is to accelerate the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area and what it means to us, and that we pursue it as a catalyst for development. And as we look at all the aspirations that we can engage over the 2 days, look at leadership, the leadership that we want, and the youth as the next leaders, as we today, like our great giants and forebearers, we have the responsibility to create an enabling environment to all the students, as you are the future leaders and you will continue these great legacies that have been laid by our forebearers and great leaders. And as we also engage on the realization of the aims of Agenda 2063, that we continue to pursue creating the Africa that we want. And may this conference be a beacon of hope, fostering dialogue, collaboration, actionable solutions that will shape the future of our great continent. Together, we can honor the legacies of Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, by striving for a better, more equitable, and a prosperous Africa. And tomorrow I will give my interventions from South Africa, an address on leadership, South Africa's position, South Africa's foreign policy imperatives, and give details on the outcomes of Agenda 2063 and South Africa's deliberations on our foreign policy imperatives. But for today, I'd like to just officially pledge solidarity to this conference. May God continue to bless South Africa, Ghana, our peaceful and prosperous continent, and may we create the Africa that we want. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much. Nyabonga also. Nyabonga means thank you. Ladies and gentlemen,